Good friend. Okay, here we go. Update. 70 is day-to-day bowl, and 7 and 1 are weekly. But we'll get some guys back from some nicks and some bruises. Thursday is our mock light game, I would say. So obviously that'll be closed. I will say this: I appreciate what you folks have done coming to practice and just, you know, helping us out, doing the right thing, and that doesn't go unnoticed by anybody. You know, people that read you guys' stuff. I mean, whether it's players or these guys, I don't. I told you guys that I never have. It's just not me. It's what I don't do. I don't watch the news. I just don't. I learned that a long time ago playing in Philadelphia, right? So I appreciate you guys. You guys have done a nice job of viewing practice and certain things, you know, or certain things. And so that doesn't go looked at and, hey, I don't, you know, I get it. I sat in your chair, so I get it. Other than that, I thought it's been pretty good. I mean, we're starting to hone in on our opponent, obviously, and I think everyone is about this time in college football. You know, with that, reps are all of a sudden limited. The hardest thing to do is when you get to training camp, you get to spring ball, then you get after training camp and you start saying this is the ones and the twos, you get some long lips a little bit. You know, guys a little bit disappointed, but the way we do it, I think it's good in the fact that we continue to compete, we continue to evaluate guys, and they know that, you know, things can happen. You're a nick away from having to go in the game. So thought it was pretty good practice today. We went outside yesterday all day, and it was hot, so we gave them a little break today. Take the shoulder pads off tomorrow and go in helmet, and we'll probably go outside. But we've been trying to deal with the weather. As you guys know, it rained last night here, so field was kind of muggy, you know, and we didn't want to take them outside. And I know you guys appreciated going inside too, so I was looking out for you guys as well, right? Especially some guys that are veteran guys. Veteran guys. We know who those guys are sitting in the room, right? So other than that, it's open for questions. Yes,
How you doing, Hoderbino, Devil's Digest. In your experience, whether it was a couple years back with Jaden or just the various NFL stops, when you name a starting quarterback, do you notice just a different swagger, for lack of a better term, with the quarterback and with the offense as a whole?
Well, I think the team has direction, because I think the players are like anybody else. They kind of sense who it might be, but until you say this is the guy, and it just gives them some direction. They go, okay, that's the guy. We get it. Whether they agree or not, that's the guy, right? And so you kind of focus in, and then offensively you start doing things, and you build it around that guy. Every quarterback has a little bit different, you know, your system's your system, but at the end, what does your system, how does it highlight? Quarterback 1, quarterback 2 or 3, however you want to label them, right? So that's been kind of fun to watch. And it always is when you kind of say this is the quarterback, you know. And then he has to be the guy that takes charge of the whole offense, you know, and then he has to be the guy that talks to the defense too, because that's what the quarterback does. So it's interesting how that kind of comes together.
And Coach, you talked obviously about the ones getting more, naming the ones and getting the snaps, but with those guys doing that, how do you feel that the team has locked in and taken those steps towards this first game against NAU?
Well, I think, you know, that what's good, we're fortunate enough to have some depth at offensive line. So you're working a couple guys, you know, 8 guys that can play different positions, all starters in my opinion. Secondary, there's a lot of talented guys back there, not with a lot of experience, so you're just trying to work those combinations. D-line. We've got some D linemen, you know, that inside guys, and then we got a couple outside guys, so that's rotation. So I say the starters is not like 11 guys, it's 18 guys, right? You know, offense, it's who are the receivers? A bunch of them are going to play. It's not just 2 guys or 3 guys. We have a tight end group we kind of like. We got some running backs that have a little bit of talent, right? So I think in every group there's guys that understand, look, you're not going to probably play. If you play 70 plays in a football game, you're probably not going to play all 70. But how many of those are you going to play? And then you got to make sure when you do play those reps that they're important and They want to be positive, you know. And I just think early in the season, the more you can get guys in shape, because that's the stamina part of football. You know, no one's played a real game, even in you watch the NFL anymore. Good veteran guys wearing baseball hats, you know, and you always are leery of, I got to get them in shape to play 4 quarters. They haven't played 4 quarters. So how do I do that? You do a little bit of it in practice, but eventually it comes in the game because of the anxiety and all the extra energy you waste playing in a game. It's different in practice. It's just different. It's a different atmosphere. And so that's always the key without getting guys hurt. So I think you always have to have a rotation system early to get guys ready to play.
Mark, Chris, Michelle.
Hey, Coach Mark McClune, 3CB, CBS 5. You'd mentioned earlier in camp that you played in the 6 preseason games when you were a player. Just to kind of pick up on what you were just talking about, how much did that help you get in shape, or was there like a law of diminishing returns as we're seeing the NFL now almost going to the college model?
Well, I mean, you look back in the era that I played, it's changed. These athletes now train year-round. They have personal trainers. I trained year-round as well back in the day. Couldn't afford a personal trainer. Trained on my own. But I think they're more equipped now, and the athletes are different now than they were 20 years ago. There's 7-on-7 leagues. There's this. There's that. They're all. It's almost, you got to be careful, right? Especially with quarterback. You got to be careful, and because you don't want them to throw too much, and then so, you know, and the money you pay the players, you better get them ready for open day. You're playing 17 games. That is a marathon season in the NFL, and all them teams are good. 1 through 32, they all got varsity players. They're good, man. And so you got to get your guys in shape. The veteran guy knows how to get in shape. They know how to get in shape. It's the young guys, the rookies. They're playing they're playing against varsity players all the time now, right? And so you got to get those guys in shape. And I think every coach does it his own way. But that's the whole key. And I think early you'll see in season, they'll have substitutions. You know, you're trying to get substitutions in there too, because of the fact that the way you practice anymore, because you got to get them to the game. That's the key in the NFL. That's the key anywhere. But in the NFL, I got to get them to Sunday, man. I can't, you know, win on Wednesday. And like my team is like, we won 3 games on Wednesday. You play on Sunday. So I got to get them ready for Sunday. And I think veterans know. They're prideful. You know, they're professionals. They know this is what they do for a living. This is how they make their money. So they know. That's part of being in the NFL.
Chris Cartman, son of a source. Herm, DJ Taylor was kind of up and down last year as a returner. Has he solidified himself in both of those roles? And then also I was going to ask if there's a decision been made on a kicker yet.
You would mention the kicker. But DJ, for sure, he's our guy. He's the #1 guy to go back there. He's better decision maker. Doing a nice job at nickel, too. We're training him right at nickel position. He's kind of moved around. He played safety one time. We got him at the nickel back, and he's learning that, how to do. You know, he's a very fast guy. He's an instinctive guy. I'm talking about on you know, as a runner. Defensively, he can cover some ground and he'll tackle. That's one thing you see. He's a tough guy. But the kicking situation is it's still competitive. We know who the punter is. Now it's the guy that got to kick it through the poles. You know, that guy.
It does seem like though that Jace Feely has improved significantly since last fall to now.
Correct statement. He has. His dad's put a lot of work in. That young man's put a lot of work in, too. He's probably his worst enemy because he's so hard on himself. You know, and that kind of gets him sometimes. Too hard on himself. You know, but that's a kicking room's different. Right? It's different. It's just, say a little bit to him and don't mess him up. You know, just put him in a spot where they can make it. You know, and say, okay, that a boy. Right? But it's just they're different, and they have. It's not like they don't play a series of plays. They got to wait, kick the ball off, and then you punt the ball, and then if you kick a field goal or point after, you got to wait. You don't know when you're going to get that turn, right? So they're sitting there and they're pacing. Go in there, man. Go kick. You know, it's a hard job. They get one shot. They don't get 3 plays at it. So, yeah. But it's been competitive.
Michelle, then Jordan.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, obviously you got a lot of new starters with a lot of guys leaving. Have you sensed maybe a hunger because you got a lot of guys now that are really getting a chance for the first time to be that guy?
Yeah, and and I think the thing that you lose sight of, we lost some guys due to the way college football is looked at now, right? You have the portal, guys have access to leave and automatically eligible, and you had 11 guys sign NFL contracts. So that's a lot of those guys are starters. And so I think the guys that played behind them now got an opportunity. And so that presents a little bit of weight on their shoulder too. This is who I'm replacing. Can I play up to his capabilities? Can I play like him? And so that's the fun of it. When you watch our guys in the preseason, all through the league, playing, and there are a lot of these guys going to make it now. I mean, it's one thing to sign 11 guys, another thing when you get 5 or 6 guys make it off one football team. And then you lose another 4 or 5 starters that are really good players too. So I think our guys see that, and they get excited about that because, that's kind of what everybody wants to do, try to play at the next level. But you can't do that unless you're a good player at this level. It helps you if you're a good player at this level. That's how you get evaluated.
Coach Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ.
Yes, sir.
With Elijah Badger, where do you see his next steps and his progression?
Well, we've been fortunate. We've had some pretty good wideouts. He's in that category, talent-wise. Now it's just a matter of can he do it in games consistently, right? You see flashes. There's no doubt. You saw that when we first got him. He's matured a lot, too, since he's been here now. And I think he understands. The conversations I have with him, it's like, okay, man, it's your somebody's stage. Why shouldn't it be yours? There were some other guys in front of you. You see how they took the stage and grabbed the baton? Grab it. But you got to do it every day. You got to be consistent. That's the hard thing. Every day. It's a hard deal.
Hey, Coach, now that you've got to go daily practices instead of the old two-a-day format, do you miss the two-a-days with these college guys?
No, not really. Now that I look back at it, might have been way overrated. But there was 125 guys in training camp, right? Yeah, 125 guys. When I came in the league, there was, like I said, state of 6 preseason games. So you had to give. That's what it was. It was a month of training camp. Right? It's different now. It's a different. Football's different. How you train the players, and these guys are. They're football is advanced. Everything is, that's our society. Everything kind of, and some people don't want it to change. You guys cover other sports. Basketball. Whoever thought you see a 6'8" guard that could shoot? The centers now go out there and shoot 3-pointers. It's like it's nothing. It's like they're supposed to be underneath dunking. They shoot 3-pointers. It's just like you watch it. They're amazing athletes, right? They just are in all sports. Sports has gotten better. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten faster. They've gotten stronger. But they still all have to do this. They have to be hungry for knowledge. Because at the end of the day, smart players, smart teams win. They just do. And you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know which way to go, you're kind of evil in the playing field. Your talent gets kind of leveled off. That's what makes sports so great. When you build the team, there's a lot of different components to it. But you always say smart, physical teams, they generally hang around. They're always in the mix, and that's kind of what I learned from being a high school player to a college player and in the NFL. The teams that were successful that I was on or coached, they had those traits, and they liked each other. Something about liking each other.
Was it easier to get your installs done? Here we go. Was it easier to get your installs done and retention with players when you had two-a-days, though, when you're trying to get your stuff
think
in?
about the retention of a player in today's world compared to my world. You didn't have this. Now it's like, if you can keep them for 15 minutes looking at you, you're doing good, man. You're doing good. It's like 15 minutes and they get nervous. It's like, hey, boys, come on now. We give them something else. but that's how their brains work. That's how our society works. You guys work that way. You kidding me? Right? It's just like you got to multitask. Their brains are multitasking all the time, and you just slow them down. It's like, all right, coach, I'm listening, but coach, if you're getting kind of, you better have entertainment. What can they click to next? Because they always click. Their life is about click, right? And when they can't click, it's like something's wrong. I'm missing something. They're not, but they think they are, right? So I just think it's different. You got to coach different, but you still have to be an information provider. And definitely we know this society of people are information gatherers. And what information do you want to gather? That's the key to me. Who are you gathering it from, and does it make sense? And do you challenge it? Do you challenge the information that you're gathering? Don't just take it for granted that it's always right, right? Anything we do in life. And I think that's the thing that society's dealing with as a whole. I have 2 daughters. Hi, Dad. I'm your father. Give me a hug, please. And I always tell them, make sure, you know, just everything you read, just make sure it's the source and all that stuff. Don't fall in love with stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. If it doesn't make sense, it probably doesn't make sense. You know? Don't try to make sense of stuff. And that's the world we live in, you know? So it's just, it's interesting to say the least. That's why I don't get involved in it. I just kind of just keep going. Things are blowing up and I don't even know, oh, really, I got to go do this. I'm just that kind of way. I'm built that way. You know, I've been built that way my whole life. I'm okay. I'm fine.
Last 2 questions, Doug and then Michelle.
Herm,
yes, sir.
Coach Claiborne was just talking about that Merlin has a presence this year. Not that he hasn't in previous years, but just more of a presence this year. How would you describe that presence?
Maturity. Obviously, you know, you guys married as kids, but I think he understands that he's a captain. I think that helps him some. But I just think where he's at in his life now, compared to when we got him as a freshman. He comes in as a freshman, Butler, and they play. Everybody thought we were crazy. Yeah, we can play these freshman guys. Yeah. His body's changed. It's just his whole mannerism has changed. He's grown up. You know, he wants to have a good year. He wants to continue to play football, and he knows it, and he knows it's important to him now. Not saying it wasn't, but when you're a freshman, you're just a starter. Wow, I didn't know that, right? I mean, now it's like, okay, he made a business decision. Come back. Made a business decision. I'm coming back. I want to play better so I can maybe get drafted or whatever it may be. So you see that in him. And the players respect him because they know this dude, he came in here as a freshman and started. And he's here, you know, and so all that stuff. Between him and Soley, you got really 2 good leaders on defense. There's no doubt about that. Just solid guys, you know. It's fun to watch them grow up. That's the fun for me. When you bring them in here as a little freshman and you watch them and then you start having conversations when they're sophomores and now they're seniors and you have conversations, you go, interesting. Okay? They just grow up. It's fun.
Last question, Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
Coach, can you talk about the team dynamic? Because everybody's talking about how together this team is much more so than last year. Do you think a lot of that is the product of seeing what happened last year and why you guys didn't achieve what you could have?
Well, and I think that a lot of that we brought on ourselves. And a lot of guys that came back realized that. And then we brought so many new guys that wanted to come here, that they wanted to be a part of this. Just the interaction of these guys, of learning who your teammates are, that's been important. You know, where if you know a guy, it's kind of like, okay, but these are new guys, and they're coming from different places, and the stories they tell, and they go, really? And they're trying to figure out the culture here, so you got to figure it out. But, yeah, it's a close team. Yes, no doubt about that. Yeah, they're a close team. They are a close team.